Must be done. Right, welcome everybody. And first up, I will call
recording in progress.
Call for apologies. Any apologies? I'm just trying to work two screens here. No apologies? Okay. Conflicts of interest. Are any conflicts of interest to be noted? Appear to be none. Confirmation of minutes. So we have a set of minutes there, pages 5 to 7, 3.1 it is. Can we have a mover for those minutes? Moved Councillor Redmond, seconded the Mayor. I'll put that. Although, are there any corrections that anyone wishes to make? Appear to be none. Thank you. I'll put that. All those in favour? Raise your hand. Raise your hand. Against? Carried. Thank you. All right. Matters arising. No matters arising indicated. Deputations, there are nil. So we'll move straight to reports. Item 6.1. Vanessa and Shane. Yes, Vanessa. And Shane, where are you? Where is Shane here?
He was there.
He was here. He's gone. Oh, there he goes.
There he is.
Right. We will hand it over to you. Welcome.
Thank you. So the purpose of this report is really just to seek approval to implement the 6 parking restriction changes in the Kaipoi Town Centre listed in the report. We did enter a public consultation period last year of 3 weeks just to get community feedback and also some feedback from the property owners and directly affected businesses. And you'll see from those survey results in the report, most people were generally supportive of the changes. I'd also like to note that the Kaipoi Tuahiwi Community Board have endorsed the changes in a meeting on 21 Feb this year. So happy to take any questions.
Any questions? Councillor Redmond.
Hello, Vanessa. Has there been any further discussion with business owners since the Kaipoi Tuahiwi board meeting?
No, there hasn't. No.
Councillor Bartlett.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Looks like it's been thoroughly canvassed and really good to see the consultation. I just wanted to check about any residential properties. I note there's a rental property on Raven Quay. They're all happy with the fact that they won't have parking outside their property? We
didn't canvass the residential properties, to be honest. We only went to the businesses and the main sort of property owners in the area. So I in terms of residential feedback, I can't comment on that. Yeah.
Why wouldn't you have notified the residents with a letter that there was proposed changes outside their houses?
I think we were just focusing mainly on the park side, so the actual north side of the street. Is it Raven Quay you're talking about?
Yes, so it's not applying to the south side, that's right.
Yeah, so in terms of Raven Quay, I'm not too sure where that residential property is. Sorry, you'll just have to enlighten me.
Next to the Mandy Tavern.
Oh, okay. I'm not too sure where that is. So yeah, I'm just not familiar with that property. Sorry. And Shane, do you know it?
Yeah. No, I don't.
No. Yeah, sorry, I can't. I'm sorry, I just can't comment. I don't know where that is. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, hopefully it's been through the board, so they know the residents' views in that area.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was actually a question. I have a question just on that myself. Is that I run a business from Hilton Street. Never ever been approached, and neither has any one of my staff. I checked just last week. No one has approached them, and then I talked to the guys in the garage out the back, and according to them, they had no approach. They didn't know it was happening. So,
yep.
Why is that?
So when I did the flyer drop, I basically primarily concentrated on these shops on William Street between Hilton and Raven Quay. So I did a flyer drop into those shops because they were the directly affected shops with the parking immediately in front. We've always sort of said that we approached directly affected shop owners and property owners. The ones on the periphery, if the parks weren't immediately in front of their store or business, we didn't tend to do the flyer drop on those areas. And so that's the reason probably why, if you're talking about Hilton Street sort of further away from those parks, they wouldn't have received a flyer. Well, we did actually have information on our Facebook page about it. As far as I'm aware, Comms put something up about it generally. But the flyer drop was primarily concentrated in those directly affected properties and tenants. Yeah.
So they are directly affected though, because round the corner, if you move them out of the main street, they move around the corner into those areas. So why would a business owner on Hilton Street, just around the corner from the BNZ, will say, that's probably, why would they look at the website if they know nothing's going on?
Yeah.
There is no leaflet drop, there is no nothing. Why would they look at the website? For what?
Yeah, I hear your comments, feedback around that. I guess it was just some shops when I actually did the flyer drop, some shops weren't actually open on the day, so there will be some that were missed. But all I basically have said, I just drop flyers onto those immediately affected properties.
Thanks, Vanessa and Shane. Just a question. I was just looking for it in the report and I may have missed it, but it was around I get a lot of feedback periodically around disabled parking. Can you remind me what's our process around that review in the town, please?
I believe that's being looked at as part of the accessibility strategy review, which is happening at some point this year with the policy team, or members of my colleagues in my team. Yeah.
Thanks, Lisa. Thank you.
Councillor Redmond. You're on mute.
Yep.
Hello?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just following on from your comment, Vanessa, were leaflets delivered to businesses upstairs?
Yes, yeah, I know we had that question about the 137 William Street, the law firm. I did actually drop a flyer in, and when I drop these flyers off, I would usually leave one or two and then ask the reception staff to pass it on to their staff or put it in the tea room. So beyond that, I can't comment as to how they were distributed internally once they were actually dropped into the businesses that were open. So, yeah.
Was there any thought given to posting a leaflet to the ratepayer?
I guess I didn't consider that. Shane, I don't know if that's something you guys would normally do as part of your transport stuff.
Why I ask,
yeah,
Vanessa, is that the business owners at 137 William Street upstairs were unaware of the proposals.
Right, yeah. I know you mentioned that last time, Councillor Redmond, so I did drop something into them. I guess it wasn't passed on. I believe, let me just check, we did work with communications on this, and there wasn't advice around doing a flyer drop out to ratepayers. So I guess it's something at this level it was possibly felt it wasn't needed. Yeah, that's the only feedback I can provide.
Thank you. Vanessa, just another question. So if this were to go through now, and as it is, what information will we be giving to business owners, the leasees of those businesses, and your surrounding businesses before this is enacted? Because I can see this, and just to clarify, I can see this as soon as the signs change, exactly the same time. Just like when you get your rates bill, the rate rise doesn't affect me until such time as I have the bill in my hand. And I just wonder if there's another consultation to be had, that these are changing, so that we can, if there is an uproar, we'll say, or if there is from people surrounding, whether that could be dealt with before the signs are changed. Is that a possibility?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, to be honest, this process is probably normally, Shane, that might be one for you to jump in terms of your process or how transport normally manage these sort of restriction changes. To be honest, this is not something my unit tends to deal with a lot of the time. So Shane, you might have comments around that, but certainly we can adopt that in the process. Yeah.
Yeah, and we can take that on going forward. Unfortunately, I have not been through the implementation process myself either, so we're a little bit limited in how we can speak of previous exercises, although my understanding based on what I have read, I think as far as this initial round of consultation, I think aligns with what we typically would be doing. Again, the frontage is initially affected.
And of course, I would speak to the communications unit, as we did when we undertook the initial process, to get their feedback as to the next steps. There will be some sort of internal model that we follow when we do these sort of changes or implement them.
Councillor Bennett?
Yes, just the statement at the top that this has been endorsed already by the Kaiapoi Tuahiwi Community Board in February 2022. Can you tell me was it presented as a consultation to be done, or was it endorsed as an actual recommendation by the community board?
I believe it was a recommendation. So we put these 6 changes in front of them with the community feedback that we had received, and they were happy for those to be implemented.
Mr. Chair, if I could just ask you, were you at that meeting, and are you able to gauge your recollection? Were the community board happy with these recommendations?
Yeah, look, I can't actually remember whether I was there or not. I knew you were going to ask that question. That's why, and I'm sitting here racking my brains. I think I was, and Shane and Vanessa probably remember better than me. And no, they weren't canvassed, but personally have had a couple of approaches since, which has alerted me to my questions that I'm talking about. So I'm pretty sure I was aware when this did come to the community board.
Mr. Chair, Elise Kirsten, with all these questions that have been asked, I have to say I've got a lot of reservations about this. I'm just wondering whether a way forward might be to consider laying it on the table and to go back out and talk to those affected businesses that these changes are coming, and then come back after that feedback's been received. You're 137 William Street. I just don't want to. Maybe I'm overreacting here, but I just think to myself that this seems to be there's a lot of confusion about what might or might not be happening. So whether it's worth us laying this on the table, and procedurally, if there's general support for that, and staff might want to respond, I'd be happy to test the meeting with that.
I'll second that.
All right. Do you wish to comment, Shane or Vanessa?
No, I'm happy to do that process. That's fine. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, we've got a mover and the mayor and a seconder and Councillor Barnett. It's procedural. So all those in favour?
Just one question, Mr. Chair. Sorry, before we go to the motion, is it possible for it to be consulted with the Kaipui Promotions Association too? Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we should, as a part of that, make sure we go back to the board with that feedback before it comes back here. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'll put that. All those in favour?
Aye.
And against? Carried. Thank you very much. Thank you, Vanessa and Shane. Right. Now swap. Right. Brennan's update. Is Brennan here? Brendan isn't here. Tracy, do you wish to? No, we're still at Anzac Day.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Brendan is due to be here. I just wonder, would it be possible, given we've got Shane here, to go to 7.1, the referred report from Rangiora, and then perhaps, hopefully, and I'll just quickly text Brendan if that was a possibility.
Sorry, absolutely, yes. 7.1, Shane.
Yep, and I'll take it as read. Just note this originated from a request from the Borough School to both provide a bit of space for parents dropping kids off and picking kids up during those short hours, and then at the same time recognizing that the existing 24-hour bus parking was not used for most of that time for buses. So trying to do a little bit of a rationalization for the reserve parking along the school frontage.
Questions, Councillor D? You're on mute, Wendy. There we go.
I'm right now, am I?
Yes.
Good. Shane, just a question, please. I noticed that quite a number of parents actually park into the town hall car parking area. So that's still available for them to use that, or are you going to stop that parking there?
We have no designs on changing anything related to that parking off street.
Thank you. That's good.
Councillor Barnett?
I'm happy to second it.
Sorry,
I think Councillor Barnett's moving.
Oh, I'm moving, Councillor Barnett.
If I did read right,
okay.
I'm happy to
seconded the mayor. Councillor Barnett.
Yes, sorry, happy to move this report. It was thoroughly discussed at the Rangireshi Community Board, it makes an awful lot of sense. It's a short time where the road gets incredibly busy, and it rationalises some additional parking. So thank you very much to Shane for your work on this one. It's a very common sense solution to an appropriate community request.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor.
I endorse the comments entirely by Councillor Barnett. I think it's a very good report, Shane. Common sense solution. It's an important area around there, and making sure that that flow works for the school is important, and the safety of students, which is an absolute paramount consideration for us. I think the point that Councillor Doody raised before is a valid one too, around the fact that there is the ability to still use the town hall car park, which I do see used at pick up and drop off times quite a lot as we're out and about. So no, I totally support the recommendation, a common sense solution, and thanks Shane for your work on it.
Councillor Melix.
Yes, look, in addition to the comments about this being a common sense move, I would also like to note the fact that it is quite a popular option for parents to park in the council car park behind the Rangireshi Service Centre at pick up and drop off times anyway, and that is still available to them. So I don't see this as being really too much of a problem, and it will probably keep the traffic flowing a lot better. So I think it makes sense. So thanks for the report, Shane, and yeah, happy to support this.
Okay. Any further speakers? Appear to be none. I'll put that recommendation. All those in favour, raise your hand. Against? Carried. Thank you very much. Thank you, Shane.
Thanks for your time.
Right. Have we found Brennan, or is he out still swimming somewhere?
Excuse me, Chair, I've just resent him the link. He was having trouble getting in, so he should be here with us momentarily.
Give a brief break.
Okay. We might take just 5 minutes just while we're waiting.
It shouldn't be too long at all.
Thank you. Here, who's missing? No, Warren's moved away. We're all still here, aren't we? Yes, we are. All right. Warren, sorry, Brennan. We'll let you take it away. You are on mute.
Thank you very much. I've only got one screen, so I just need to flip back to my report. Yeah. So what's been happening in our office probably over the better part of the last nearly 12 months, actually, is routinely not an awful lot is happening in terms of public engagement, pretty much nothing in terms of public engagement actually. And our routine work has really been around trying to get the training back up and running, particularly for the volunteers and the cadets, and a couple of very light skirmishes and 2 minor events. Sorry, am I coming across okay?
A little muffled. If you could speak a little closer, might help, Brennan. But we've got you, but probably not as clear as it could be.
Okay, I'll just clear in my mic here. Hopefully, this is slightly better. And in terms of emergency response events, what you see there in terms of Sutton's Falls fire and the near-miss rainfall event are probably well within everybody's memory at the moment. So we were lucky to dodge the bullets there and got through with 2 very relatively low scale and almost insignificant scale emergency responses there. and nothing else, including on the COVID front, has emerged in this reporting period. In terms of the volunteers and the cadets, it's kind of where, in terms of what we're allowed to do under the current COVID restrictions, it's kind of where most of our energy is being spent at the moment, other than routine collaborations with mainly the Regional Civil Defence Office and the other territorial authorities and our emergency services partner agencies. Around the volunteers and the cadets, we're quite pleased actually to see that we haven't lost many at all. We haven't lost any volunteers, so our numbers remain reasonably stagnant, but to me that's quite an impressive outcome. I did expect that with the COVID restrictions we might lose some volunteers, and that has not been the case. In terms of the cadets, we've lost 2 cadets who've moved on, one of whom reached that age point where she can no longer be part of the cadets anyway, and the other one has moved on to do something else in life. There is a third one that I'm waiting for confirmation from, and I'll just have to let the school holidays expire before I could reasonably expect him to respond to all of our communications so far. So that will drop us down to 17 cadets, and of those 17, they've been quite actively participating in a number of online sessions that Paul has been delivering. And the connection between Paul and the program and Paul and the cadets has been really fantastic, actually. So he's brought in some ideas of his own from his experiences overseas and his work in Wellington, and they've been well received by both the volunteers and the cadets. I think things are looking quite promising on that front. And under the current COVID restrictions, Paul and I can't be in the same, in each other's presence physically. So we're still having to work virtually ourselves. But despite that, I'm really rapt with how he's joined the team and fitting into the council. What's on the radar for us in the future as we're getting closer to the end of a financial year? There's a lot of preparation, as much as we possibly can do, to gear ourselves up to start community engagement, public engagement. Whilst we've got tsunami and alpine fault magnitude 8 themes in the back of our heads, our approach actually is going to be around trying the base outcome that we want with communities is more people being prepared to do things to ready themselves for disaster, and being prepared to be part of a small group, residents, neighbours, own response to an emergency. So we're doing a bit of brainstorming background work to prepare ourselves for that. And we're going to introduce some of the ideas that Paul has brought from Wellington, and the Wellington Civil Defence Office has done an awful lot of work in the public engagement space around setting up community emergency hubs. So that's kind of where we're looking to in the not too distant future, is planning for that. I think the rest of the items in the report speak for themselves, are relatively routine. So I'll probably just stop there and be happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Brennan. Any questions of Brennan? Councillor Redmond.
Thanks, Brennan. When the tsunami presentations were carried out in the coastal areas, I think there was an offer to assist some residents with their evacuation plans. Has there been any progress with those?
Yeah, great question. So, no, there hasn't been. One, because we wouldn't be able to actually meet with them, and that's what they wanted. And two, I haven't actually heard back from them. So it was 2 ladies from the Pines Beach Residents Association who were at that particular meeting that raised that interest. So when I say that we're preparing ourselves to go out as soon as COVID restrictions allow us to start this public engagement, they're one of the first target groups that we're looking at, because they've expressed that interest. And I'm guessing, because we haven't heard from them, that we're going to have to drive out there and initiate the next contact with them. But they're definitely amongst some of the very first community groups that we intend to target. And I can see Councillor Barnett in the background there. So the Cuss Residents Association likewise signalled interest in us talking to their community and their group. So that's another targeted audience that we're looking to go to straight away. And almost a year ago now, I'm seeing Councillor Mealings in the shot as well. we had a couple of lifestyle block groups who were very interested in developing similar plans that were related to bushfires and what they might do to their livestock. So those are 4 instant community target audiences that we're looking to go to as soon as COVID allows us.
Thank you.
Did everyone get that answer at the start? It was a little muffled. Everybody's happy with the answers there? Good as gold. Thank you. Councillor Dooley.
Brennan, just a query, please. With this, when you're looking at this community emergency hub and moving on, contacting people, will you be doing the neighbourhood support group? Will you be taking them with you? No,
Brennan, you're not coming through there for some reason.
No.
No.
Yeah, that's right. That's fine. Yep.
Okay. Yes, I do intend.
No.
No.
Maybe if I just try turning that off, I'll just try another device that might work better. If you can give me a moment. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Great. Yes, so definitely intend to make contact with Sarah Saunders. We did talk with Sarah before we went back into this lockdown situation about our intentions around this public engagement and trying as much as possible to align what we do with the interested community groups with neighbourhood support and Get Ready, if at all possible. Get Ready being the web-based product that she uses. Whether that's possible or not really will depend on the people that have already joined up with neighbourhood support in the Gets Ready platform. Gets Ready itself as a technology, we're still being challenged in terms of what Sarah is able to do with that and whether or not we can capitalise on its functionality. And then there's still the question of whether or not her residents are prepared to do anything beyond dealing with petty crime in their backyards, which has always been a historical point of difference between us and neighbourhood support. But it is definitely our intention to try and align our work with her work. And we do see that the model that we're going to unleash starting in July, which we've taken from Wellington region, we believe that it's going to sell like hot dogs to our residents who are remotely interested in either neighbourhood support or having their own community response plans. And maybe closer to the time, this forum might like to see a presentation around what the idea is there. But I think it's going to get some interest from our residents.
Thank you. My other question is, you mentioned about a community emergency hub.
I'm sorry, I'm not sure if anyone's talking to me. I can't hear anyone. Has that answered the question though?
Community emergency hub? No. Your mum.
I'm sorry, I'm not hearing any voices.
That's fine.
I might take this off and just rely on the speaker of the laptop.
Right.
Don't worry.
Nikki's got a question, but I'm not sure you can hear us. Can you, Brennan?
No.
Oh, wait for a minute for him.
Can you hear us now?
Can you hear us, Brenna? No. Don't worry. I'll just pull out.
Wendy, I'll get Brennan to come back to you. I know what you wanted to follow up on.
The questions, if everyone's comfortable with Brennan's report, I think what we'll do is if we can, Nikki, if the questions could be just written maybe in the chat even, that they might be able to be answered by chat, but certainly Tracy and Brennan could get back to you and the committee with the answers to your questions if that's satisfactory.
Yeah.
Your voice is booming in nice and clearly for me at the moment.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Right.
Well,
Thank you.
quickly have a stab here. Brennan, just 2 questions. Are you planning on doing any more AF8 work, or will we have that presentation come back to us?
Yeah, yes and no. So COVID is specifically solely AF8.
No, Brendan, we can't hear you, unfortunately.
Okay.
I think
That's okay. Just one other question, please. If he can hear me, is that I never heard much back. I set up for Maria Heppy the collective action model through FENS, that research that you asked me to coordinate with some lifestyle block residents, probably about 18 months ago now. And I never really knew the outcome of that and if that's going to be plugged into anything we're doing here. So yeah, if you've heard anything and you can get back to me and let me know what came out of that, I would be appreciative. But yeah, always happy to work with you on any of those kind of projects. So thank you for your work.
All right, thank you. So as I say, any further questions of Brennan, if you'd write those and we can get them circulated to the whole committee, would be great. Right, I've had an indication from Councillor Redmond that he wishes to move Brennan's report. Do I have a seconder? Seconded to Councillor Mealings. Councillor Redmond.
Right, thanks very much, Brennan. Hopefully you can hear. A good report. I think it highlighted 2 things for me. One, the difficulty of inducting a new staff member during COVID times when you and Paul are unable to actually meet. I understand the reason for that. If you both fell out with COVID, we may have a slight difficulty in the civil defence area. And secondly, it's pleasing to see that you've still got 17 of the 20 cadets in the program, given the hiatus we've had for the last few months. So I look forward to that program resuming in person as soon as that's possible. So thanks very much. And obviously, internet connections in Mandeville is not that great.
Councillor Mealings.
Yes, just further to that, Brennan, thank you very much for your usual awesome work in this area in some trying circumstances. And yes, crap internet included. Hopefully we'll get that fixed one of these centuries, hopefully soon. And yeah, keep up the good work, and always happy to work with you on anything that I can help with. Happy to support your report. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor.
Just to join in those comments, but Brennan, excellent work as always, but I'd just like to endorse your remarks about Paul Cull. I'm receiving really good feedback about what Paul's doing with our groups, NZRT12 in particular, certainly very positive in their feedback, which is really excellent. And I was delighted yesterday to have a member of the Youth Council lay the wreath with me at Rangiora, but she was also dressed in her cadet uniform, which was really civil defence cadet uniform, which was really great. So 2 really good programs that obviously we have a lot to do with, but Brennan, keep up the great work. I know it's trying in the current circumstances, but you're doing an awesome job, you and Paul, and I'm really delighted with that feedback about Paul from people that are interacting with him. So he's certainly settled in really well, so thank you.
Right, right of reply. Councillor Redmond, no right of reply. All right, then I shall put that. All those in favour, raise your hand. Against? Carried. Thank you, Brennan. Right. 2 computers. Right. Item 8, I have no correspondence. Portfolio updates. So, Councillor Barnett.
Not much to say in the district plan space apart from obviously our staff are very, very busy with all the new regulations that's come out of council that we're having to do variations on the district plan. So it's quite disappointing that after all the work that's been done, we're having to now make very sudden changes with little consultation from government.
Thank you. Any questions of Councillor Martin? Appear to be none. Councillor Redmond.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's about a month since I caught up with Tracy with holidays and COVID and things, but there had been interviews underway for the new ESU manager, and I think that appointment's now been made, and the person seemed to be very well qualified for the position. COVID has been impacting on levels of service. Animal control and compliance have had a reduced capacity due to staff needing to isolate during the last month or so. The unit is triaging customer service requests, so lower risk issues such as barking complaints may have to wait until staff are able to respond. A dog owner has lodged an appeal in the district court in relation to an infringement for not registering their dog on time. I'm not sure if that's progressed in the last month, but normally the court process is fairly slow. And we've had a report from Brennan today in the civil defence area. I understand that staff are under work pressure in all areas due to the general workload, staff illness, isolation leave, vacancies, COVID. So they've got it all. So there has been some impact on levels of service. And that's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Redmond. Any questions of Councillor Redmond? Appear to be none. Well, thank you for that. All right. I have no questions, understanding orders, no urgent general business. Next meeting will be the 21st of June on Tuesday. And I declare the meeting closed.
Could I just